Well, hello and welcome to ILoveGay today. And we are back in the world of business today in Amsterdam, and we're here with Alfred Verhoeven. How are you?
Yes. Hello there.
Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
No, that's okay. Everyone does it like this because of my cousin Paul Verhoeven, the film director.
Ah,
It's Verhoeven. OE is an O sound in Dutch, but Verhoeven is fine.
Verhoeven. I'm gonna practice that in the future, so we will get that. But no, I'm really excited, happy to have you here. I don't know if everybody really knows who you are, what you do, is at least in the U.S. because you've been really kind of pushing out there. You've done some incredible case studies, and you're one of the few that's really diving into the world of almost like the history and archiving of advertising and marketing in the LGBT community. And yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
I was inspired by Michael Wilke, who's well known in the States because he has alliance with GLAAD, and he did this commercial closet, which is now called At Respect. And I saw him once at a presentation in Milan, in Italy, for the European Gay Managers Association. And I thought, that's interesting. There's all these companies who are making advertisements either for or with LGBT characters or target groups, and why, and how does that go, and why didn't they start earlier, and how are the responses? So I'm indebted to Michael for showing me the light.
Yeah. Well, Michael was a pioneer in this. I remember, when we started in '95. So somewhere along the way, we were in LA, he was in New York, and we came to know him through Commercial Closet and and he would do a lot of events where he would display the ads that these LGBT ads that have been going on in over time, as well as ads that were kind of rather offensive, and try to make it constructive, where we would understand like it's not all bad, it's just that they could be better.
Well, he was a real pioneer because in '95 there was hardly any material, and I think his idea came from the fact that companies starting to do something then, like IKEA in '94, and even before then AMF, the Dutch insurance company, in '92. But by '95, when he started this, it was just a green field. So in the meantime, he has gone back a few decades, finding commercials and advertisements from earlier days. But since then, the floodgates have opened, especially after 2015, when your Supreme Court introduced marriage equality as the law of the land. So, and then all companies jumped on the bandwagon and started either targeting LGBT customers or using the theme in their advertisement to show their diversity. So by now his archives are bursting at the seams, and he's borrowing from me and I'm borrowing from him. So it's quite a nice interaction in that field.
Yeah, and even before we jump into the case study side, which I'm excited about, but just to make it clear, I mean, you are writing a thesis on it. This is like a long-term project, and you are getting your PhD on this topic.
Well, that was the result of the inspiration that Michael gave me in, I think, 2005 or something. And then 3 of my friends finished their thesis and became doctor. And not to play doctor, but to be a doctor and with a PhD. And I thought that's very interesting, to work with your passion, your expertise, and to take it to the next level. And I studied law. You shouldn't hold that against me, but I finished it, international law. So I'm a master of law, and then I went into marketing and have been ever since. So the PhD is not as a top of my master's studies, but it's a real new field. And I've done it for 12 years now. It's next to my day job, so it's not a full-time thing. And yes, it's an eye-opener in the sense that everyone I've spoken to, including Bob Wittek and Lee Badgett and yourself, said, well, that's interesting, and I find things that no one of you have seen before, also because I'm looking in Europe a lot. But people who are not expert in the field, like us, you and me, when I speak to them about this, I say, what are you doing? Is it happening? Is that a thing? It's how and why? And so everyone wants to know more about it. That's why I write these case studies. When I take one brand that has done LGBT rainbow marketing, my PhD is called Marketing the Rainbow. I want to stay away from the LGBT plus discussion. But even my clients who asked me in years ago, how can we reach the gay customer? I said, why do you want to reach them? Oh, because they are rich and they are trendy and they have two incomes and they are, and I was like, higher education? No, I don't recognize that. So that's one of my points of research to see this is not true. But yet the gay and lesbian consumers are interesting because they have no kids. That's the whole secret to the story, why we are more interesting. 80% have no kids, as to 20% in the straight population. No kids means more money, more time to spend on yourself. And in fact, straight people without kids are almost as interesting, almost less brand loyal, but they have the same spending pattern, but you cannot find them. There's no association for straight without children or childless games or platforms. So we can be found. We are organized. They cannot. So we are an interesting target group. So yes, the starting point is right, but not the motivations to do it.
Yeah, very interesting. It's a unique and different way of looking at the same thing, but through a different lens. And it really is the case studies you referred to, the one we just posted about Heineken and so forth. They're very popular out there because you've kind of compiled a history of Heineken's history and experience in the LGBT marketplace with their advertising over the years, and folks seem to love that because I don't think there's really anything that compiles things the way you do.
Yeah, I try to make it visual because of course there's a lot of visuals involved, both videos as well as print advertising. And the example you mentioned, Heineken, is an interesting one because it was one of the first where I discussed with the company, did I get it right? Did I forget anything? Do you feel this is the right representation of what you're doing in this field? And Heineken was very cooperative, and they even gave me some material which I've never seen before. Yeah. The next one will be Stolichnaya, and I will be speaking to Patrick Gallineau, who's their LGBT ambassador, because they have an ambassador in this field. So I'll be speaking to him. I wrote a case study already, but I want to check with him why Stolichnaya went this way and how they see the future activities in this field. So the new thing is I'm now talking to the companies. They weren't accessible really before. I mean, I wrote about Apple and Google, and they are huge and so big that you can't get through to the right people. And when you do this, say, well, you're not interesting enough, it's whatever. And the smaller companies, and Heineken is not small, and neither is Stolichnaya, but they have really defined, they want to radiate diversity and show representation. So they have now people solely dedicated to this subject. Yeah. And you have to find them. It's not easy every time, but I found them, and they are really helpful in constructing the article, and I showed them to you, the Heineken one in particular. It's very colorful and very, they have made mistakes in the past, like in the 1990s, they have made some really big bloopers about representation of bisexuals and transgenders. They make jokes about them that's really inappropriate. But they came to their senses, and I think probably also because we reacted to it as a community, and they have improved their ways and really defined a strategy on representation inside the company for their staff, which is 80,000 worldwide. They're the second biggest brewer in the world, based in Amsterdam. But also for the communications. And when you define a strategy, everyone has a guideline on how to do it, and they haven't made big mistakes anymore. And they even really made eye-opening lifestyle commercials that are really strongly presenting an image of diversity and the challenges, for instance, that transgender people have, because they had a transgender person in one of the ads. So they are making progress.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to as a side topic, we've launched this year LGBTQ plus Pop-On, and Pop-On is a virtual advisory group of just a lot of folks that have been out there doing this for a while, and getting together to try to strategize, especially nowadays in today's market, where do we go from here? And so I'm looking forward to having you be a part of that as well, because I think we're going to really be able to come up with and explore different angles, or just take a deeper dive into topics that folks want to learn about. So I'm very much looking forward to having you there.
I mean, you've been in this business for a long time, as have I, but you must have noticed that in the last 6 years, after 2015, this whole field has increased tremendously as to participants and as to commercials and YouTube videos that have been released. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
so sometimes the kickback is enormous, like the Cadbury one that was released in January.
Yeah.
I have it on my YouTube channel, and it has received like 200,000 views. But to my shock and horror, the like-dislike ratio is 1 and 2, so 2 times more dislikes than likes. Normally it's 10 in 1,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now it's the other way around. Surprisingly, they were nominated for the British LGBT Award this week with the commercial. I must say, I'm not sure yet if this is a good commercial because it looks like pinkwashing, like checking boxes. This is the first time in 125 years that they have given any LGBT representation, bar 1 4-second GIF from South Africa that they once used. But for the rest, this big company, part of the Mondelez Group, has never done anything, and I can't see any staff HR policy in this field or support of charities. So the jury is still out, but so is their video, and it's raking up a lot of comments and being talked about. So let's see where this goes. But I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but they have to prove themselves.
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be interesting because it has been an explosion. I call it an explosion of voices. People, we were thinking media was evolving when it was developing online, and there was all these websites, and then influencers like a media entities have won. But my position would just be that I'll be tossing this around for the next few years, which is that the voices have continued to evolve and continue to grow because there are millions of people out there that have something to say and want the attention and want to be liked, and they want to, they want to. In some ways, they're like these micro influencers / media, and so then the big question is, as a brand or a media entity, are you speaking with those folks and are you engaged with them because they're your audience, or are you kind of competing with them in some way for attention and airtime? And I think those are the conversations that we're going to be having in the future as it comes, especially when it comes to brands and advertising, is user-generated content is as authentic as it gets. So how does that weigh into an overall mix? And I know we're just kind of dabbling on the outsides here, but I think there's a lot of good discussions to be had.
It's very actual. It's very relevant today, as this is diversity has been on the top point of lists of to-do of many companies, and it's not just LGBT diversity, but it's also gender, ethnicity, ability or disability, both mental and physical, and age. Yeah. But there's 5. And the religion is the 6th pillar, but that's not really something you want to use in your commercials. So the 5 pillars of diversity, it's going to be a checklist almost. And whenever I publish an article, many reactions are, oh, they shouldn't touch the rainbow, they can't do that, it's pinkwashing, they shouldn't, they're not allowed to. I approach it a glass half full, and I say, well, they're making an effort, they're doing this now, let's see where this goes. And we are clever enough as a community to see if a company has really good intentions, or if they're just checking boxes. Yeah. And especially when they only advertise in June, the Pride month, or around the Pride events, which is August at Amsterdam, and nothing the rest of the year, it's suspicious. But we can see that we can hold them responsible for it, and not just shout, you shouldn't, you couldn't, you can't, but why are you doing this, and what else do you do? So we keep a tap on these things, you and I and our friends, experts in the field. But I like to approach it glass half full.
No, I like that. So I said, I'm looking forward to having some of your input as we continue these conversations as a larger group, and as time progresses and the economies all start to open up. So this is fantastic. And I'll make sure to have links to everything we've talked about here in the YouTube version, especially of this. And but very much look forward to reconnecting again soon.
Yes, me too. I'm excited to be included in this international initiative. I'm not sure if there's more non-Americans in there, but I can represent Europe if you like. So
we're working on it. That sounds great. Well, great seeing you here.
You're both.